weird noises. Okay. I'm recording screen. So now I'm going to share my screen. Oh, shit. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes. Okay, now I can. Actually no. Elijah actually still can't see.
Okay. It says Discord for me.
Let me see. Okay, now it's up.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So where are we at? Just to start off at where we were currently at. So yesterday I made some changes, and I pushed the fundraise. So I was able to put that on mainnet. So really quick here, I'm not even gonna connect the wallet. I'm gonna sign out as well. So if you go to fundraise, now you can, essentially anyone can come here and start a fundraise. The only thing that gates here is a wallet, so you need to connect the wallet. The reason being is we want to make sure that we have the wallet address of the person that creates the campaign. So when someone donates, it just goes directly to them. So when you start a campaign here, after connecting your wallet, it just creates one. And then when someone tips, for example, it's going to, pull that transaction, and you can make a transaction happen. So basically, we've got fundraise, at least Tipbox. The concept of Tipbox we've already finalized in a sense. This component right here that I'm highlighting is the same one that's here in Tipbox over here. So this is the most important thing. The thing we're going to add in the future is other tokens. So USDC, Ethereum as well. So you can connect a different wallet. This is just one wallet connection. We can create a new button where you can connect an ETH wallet as well. So we can be multi-chain very easily. The only thing we're going to have to do is keep track of webhooks. So when we make updates, and eventually maybe we get off of MongoDB as a database, but because it's centralized, so it's like the problem with this right here, this, and I'm just going to quickly explain, is, for example, I have access to all of the keys, or like the, like the private keys and stuff that has to do with the database, so other people can't access it. But the problem with that is, as we onboard more people to the team to develop and stuff, I mean, we could kind of clean it up, but it's easier if it's open source. So if it's on a blockchain, it's easier because then people can ping that data or interact with the data without having to like have the security things, and or maybe we do want that. I don't know, but just a thought. So anyway, to stop wasting time, we're focusing on Masterclass today, and I would say right now everyone can kind of go on main branch, and we could make a new branch right now actually and just call it Masterclass V2. So it's going to clone the main branch. I think this is a good starting point because then everything's already set as it is. So then we can just make the edits that we want to make. So I'm going to close everything else. And don't let this overwhelm you. The code base kind of seems like it's giant right now, but I'll try to also make more notes to like break it down. But basically, we have our pages here. We have index, which is the first page, the landing page, the jobs page, the masterclass page, the profile page, and tip box. Starting from funder. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages in total. If you go here, Sandbox, this right here, this is the initial index page. So this is index.js. If you go here to Masterclass, this is masterclass.js right here. Navbar, Masterclass is footer. So then jobs, same thing, jobs, and then fundraise, and then tip box. So jobs is here, fundraise is here, and then tip box is here. So the biggest thing to keep in mind is since we're using React, we can create components. So if you see here, we just have master classes. So this is a component. So outside of pages, you can create components, and then components live inside of pages. So if we're in components, we have components for everything. We have components for fundraise, we have components for jobs, we have components for masterclass, we have components for profile, components for also tip box. So we're gonna be working with Masterclass, right? So we're gonna go into the Masterclass component. What is currently in Masterclass component? So it's a card. Starting from the top, these are just imports for things we want to use. So we're using a card and we're using columns and rows for the card. Use SWR is basically a fetching thing that helps us fetch data from MongoDB, our backend. So this is a standard code. I didn't like create this or anything. This is like given to us basically by the people that created this library. So then fetcher fetches here when you call your data and create your data, and there's an error that comes with it. It's just like standard. So then right here, we're pinging API education. So what this means is we're gonna go to our API in pages, or when the code, like in the code, when this line is reached, this is going to go here to pages and then go to API, which is how we communicate with our backend. So all of the way we communicate with our backend is in pages, specifically in API. So here we have education. So these are the requests being made. And if you look at education versus fundraise, for example, right, they're identical, exactly the same thing. If you even look at post, exactly the same thing. If you look at profile, exactly, well, similar, not exactly the same, but similar, just slight differences. But this profile application, same thing. So basically the point of that is the only thing that's changing here is like what the name of the collection is in MongoDB back here. So we have different collection names. So besides that, you don't really have to worry too much about it, but just know that it exists for now. You don't really have to worry too much about any of this like API stuff. The most important thing we're working on is this component right here. So you don't even need to touch any other files really. This component right here is like the only file really that we need to mess with if we're talking about Masterclass like itself. This is the only component. This file, Masterclass component.js, is the only thing we need to edit. Okay, so how does this work? So first we're checking to see if there's an error in the database for any data that we're trying to pull. So these are all data we're pulling from the database back here. And we can store, all these different things. We can also store images, which is what we kind of wanted to do today. I don't really know how to store images in a database. I know we can store the link to an image, so maybe we can do that. But I have, this is like a new problem for me to tackle too. So, so if error, return failed to load. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. I was coughing. That's why I muted myself. My bad, bro.
Oh no, you're good. I just want to make sure you everyone kind of, because it's like it's not easy to kind of like hop into the code base and just like know what to do because it's like a lot of things.
Especially since we did this like what a month ago probably, and it is hard to like get reacclimated, especially since I haven't been coding since I've gotten out here to Madrid. So
I would say
this is very helpful. I think once you're done, I do want to talk about what's the best way to implement the Figma design I created into the masterclass, because I said I was going to do that a while ago and I'm trying to actually get it done this week.
Yeah, we can do that 100%. Like this is the only, like right here, this file right here we're looking at, masterclass component.js. This is the only file you need to worry about. I was talking about the other things, just like, so you're kind of familiar with like the other things for both of you, Shay as well. But honestly, simplify everything. Don't worry about all the other things going on right now. There's really no use. Just know they exist. But this right here, this file is like the real, like what we're going to be actually working on. So it makes it easier to scope it down. Because also like when I started this project, all of these things didn't exist. It started with just jobs, right? It was very easy for me to wrap my head around, and then I added other things. But then they're pretty much identical. If you can see like jobs and fundraise, first tab, second tab, first tab, they're like literally identical code. It's just like little things. Over time, you'll see like exactly how it unravels to like be like just clones of each other, kind of, but just different data that we're putting and fetching. Yeah. Okay, so here, if there's no data, then it's gonna say magic is loading, which is just a way to not break our code. We got to fix that eventually at some point. If you see, if I refresh, you see it really quickly pop up. That's just because the data hasn't properly been fetched. So in order for our code not to break, we need this line right here to wait, basically. So it's gonna wait for the data to load, and then it's gonna return this. So then when we return this, welcome to Masterclass. Cool. That's not really like crazy. This is the biggest thing right here that we have right now, that are the cards. So these cards are set up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I believe it's 2 per section. 1, 2, yeah, 2. What's that? Columns or rows? Columns. Yeah, 2 columns. Okay. So, anyways, so we are putting certain datas in certain places. So you can see here, there's something called data.data.idx, and I would try to rename this, or you can also, actually, I'll leave this to you to decide how you want to do it. So basically, data.data.idx is basically being fetched from here, right? So our backend, we're trying to get the data in our database right here. So fetch already gets it. It stores it in data, right? So this already does it. It already fetches it. So all the info you need is in data. So then the problem now is like, how do we understand what's in data? So then easy way that I do it is console log data. So I can kind of tell what's going on. So if I go here, and I'm gonna go back to localhost because that's more of the version we're gonna be able to track with. Okay, so I go here, I go to console. Console is where you can see like lines of stuff, what's happening. So if I go to Masterclass, I'm gonna notice a few things happen here. But basically, in this line right here, line 29, Masterclass component.js, line 29, ignore the 9014, whatever, that's random. The 29 is the most important part. So if you go to line 29, you're gonna see console.log data. So then that line is happening right here. So then you see that data. What is data? What does that mean? Okay, you open up, this right here is data. You open it up, right? You see another data, and you see status. Let's say, okay, what the hell is data again? So you open up data, and you see like we have arrays of different like information stored. There's 0, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and it totals up to 4 different pieces of data. Why is that relevant? We only have 4 datas, 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, and we're filling all these data, build space, description, open quest, Figment, open quest, Figment, Pime. So we're just grabbing that data from our backend, and we're pushing it onto the screen. So how are we doing that? So now we know what data is. So then how do we get the different components of this data, right? Like how do we refer to the description of build space, for example, like in 0? Okay, so how do we do that? In here, we say data again, because like we said, the first layer was data. The second layer is also data, which is a weird thing, but it just happened to be the way the code works. So then what is IDX? So IDX is index. Index is basically the position of in our array, because our array is 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So index is telling the code which one of these we want to grab data from. So then the way it does it though is it maps through every single one of them. So .map, and I didn't create this code either. It's just like a logical thing someone created that we can take advantage of. And we can feel free to change this if you want to as well. But right now this is the solution that I found that worked. So then IDX basically starts at 0 and goes all the way to length. And length we can decide to be data.data.length, because then that's dynamic. It's going to take the length of our data, which is 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, but it's like four pieces. So it's going to take that length, and it's going to iterate from zero all the way to the end of the length. So then what happens is it's going to create a card for every single one of these pieces of data. And it's going to start data.data IDX. So it's going to take that index. It's going to start at 0. And it's going to take the name. And it's going to create a card for this thing. And then it's going to go again as a for loop. You know, if you're familiar with a for loop or a while loop, it's going to go again to the next iteration. So it's going to go from 0 to 1. It's going to create a new card with the data from our backend. And it's going to go again 2 and then 3 until it reaches this length. When it's done, it's going to be, okay, we're done. And then this is essentially the card components and how that's created. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, it does. It's just me kind of wrapping my head around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
The biggest thing I would say here is like understanding data, what it is, and how to refer to the information in it. The easiest way, and it took me trial and error with console log to figure it out, because the biggest thing you just got to understand is what the information it is, that the structure at least of the information that you're trying to collect, and then how can you get anything relevant from it. So then it's like, okay, data is like the first piece of it, okay, but then I need more. Like I need the actual information. Data is irrelevant. It's like the whole bundle, the whole object is irrelevant if you can't pick apart the specifics inside of it, right? Like you need the specifics. So it's like, okay, how do we get specific? Gotta like refer to like the architecture of the object to get down to like exactly what we need. We need the names of the things stored in our database. We need the links. We need the descriptions, and eventually we need images. So it's like using this to refer to it. And we can abstract this, honestly. We can make data.data something else, like store it as data, like, so it's easier to refer to. We can make, can do like, maybe, and this is me just trying new stuff, const, what do we want to call this? Courses equals data.data. So what's gonna happen maybe with this, if this works the way I intend, is we can replace data.data with courses. So we can just do this.
Just name courses, yeah.
Because then it's easier to wrap your head around versus like data.data. It's like, what the fuck is data.data, right? So we can abstract that and make it easier for all of us to understand. Let me see if that works before I like fully. I mean, it should work. It just like, if I did it properly, it would work. Okay, let's see. Okay, so code didn't break, so I think it is working. Okay, so if I change this to, let's say if I change this to 3, let's see what happens. I just want to make sure it is working. Okay, so it took one out. As you notice, it took one of the courses out. So it iterates exactly the length of the data that we have come in from the back end.
And the way you got the Sandbox website to be responding to your code in Visual Studio Code goes with the npx install, npx start, right?
Oh, like this test I'm doing with localhost?
Exactly, yeah, because that's one of the biggest things like we talked about on that Friday or whatever, where before I switched to like in Sublime Text, it was really easy because I would just drag and drop like the index HTML or in this case the Masterclass component, and then I'd be able to see my changes automatically with refreshing. But with Visual Studio Code, I have to link it through the terminal, correct?
Yes. So this is the way I do it. Let me Control C. So the repository I have the project stored in is djobs 2. So you could yarn, I think it's yarn install. I don't want to, okay. You could do yarn install. So essentially, starting from here actually, I would say you come here to Sandbox, you hop the code, you clone it, and then you can get on this Masterclass V2 branch, like switch to it if you're using GitHub desktop. I use GitHub Desktop all the time. And then once you're on this branch, you can just open your terminal and then cd to the clone that you created, and then yarn install the way I did, and then yarn dev, and then after yarn dev, localhost is going to work. Usually. So okay, something broke there. I think it's because the data. You're
probably missing it.
So the problem with this is probably when a code loads, data doesn't have anything stored in it. So it's like, I don't have any shit. I don't have anything in data. So what the hell? So that's why our code is breaking. So it's like, what the hell is data? So then we gotta put some logic. So it only does this after data is, the hell? So it only does this line when data is completed. So how do we do that? If no data return. Shit. Maybe we can do that in here actually, maybe? Okay. No, actually, no, it's not gonna work because it's const. Yeah. Okay. Basically, we just have to put some logic so it only checks this after data has been fetched. Shit. Await data that date. No, can't wait. So if no data, fucking hell. Okay, we can think. I don't want to waste too much time trying to debug that. But basically, we need a logic in order to implement this right here. We need a logic to make sure that data is completed fetching. So then when it gets to this line, it's not confused. It's like, oh, what the hell is data? It's like, oh, I don't have data. This is not a real thing that exists. So it has that information to actually, so then our code won't break. So if we go back now, it's like, it's not going to have any issues. Or maybe it will. Okay, let's see. Where did I break? Where did it go wrong? Is there any courses anywhere else? Courses.
You have to
oh, okay, right here. Yeah, there we go. That's what I missed. All right, so now it's now we're goodie bags. All right, we're back to business. All right, so if we fix the logic of the data, making sure like it's available before this line is hit, then it'll be good. And it's like, it's kind of not intuitive because it's like, oh, but like we already called it in this line. Why isn't it already in this line, right? The problem is latency. So like, as we're fetching information from the database, like it takes time. It's not like real time. It's not like and the way code works is like, this line is going to execute, but then it's going to go to this line. It's going to be like, yo, okay, we're ready. But then this line is not finished yet because it takes time for this line to finish. But there's something called async functions and shit, but like that's a whole different, like not different, it's useful, but like I got to learn how to do that shit too. It's like how you can program different things to run in parallel to each other and wait for one thing to be done before you run the other. It's something called await. So I'm going to show you just really quick. I don't want to like confuse everyone, but like just to show you what that looks like. So there's something called await. Where you at though? I guess it ain't here. Yo, okay, maybe in this one. Okay, yeah, there we go. It's called await. So it waits for something to finish before it moves on, basically. But that's something like, there's a lot of shit in coding we can learn, of course, like to get shit done. Like, we just got to keep iterating, to be honest. Like, solutions, the things we want to build, we already know it. We have it in our head. It's going to be iterative process of like seeing it come to life. Like, just like making small updates here and there, like, and just pushing it. Fuck it. like yesterday, actually, I got pretty lucky. Not pretty lucky. I was pretty close already with the fundraise thing, but I took a long break, like 20 days. I didn't really touch the code base. But then I was able to shift it to mainnet, and it was working. I mean, technically, it was already working. I just shifted it to mainnet and did some quick like fixes in a few places to make sure transactions are going properly and being tracked. But if we want to add stuff to this, I would say a good thing would be images. But then we have to figure out how to store those images here. Or maybe we can store them somewhere else too and fetch them from somewhere else. But we can use images. And I think we also had like categories that we separated.
You're beating me to it. Are you about to pull up the Figma design
Yeah.
for the masterclass? Yeah.
I think it's this one.
I made I think I might have put it in there, but I know I have a completely separate. Yeah, there it is, down there. Why isn't it low? Okay.
So this looks dope, man. This would be crazy huge. Like to go from this. What the hell? Failed to load. Oh, never mind. To go from this to this would be fucking awesome. Not gonna
The
lie.
other thing too that I was thinking was because Bootstrap has the cards that are like flippable, right? So it's like that way we could just have the image and maybe even like the title, and then when you like hover over the card, it flips and it gives like a little description because we have those descriptions
Yeah.
in the educational library. That's the idea I kind of have for it because it's simple, but even with it,
Let me show you something someone created. I haven't used this at all, but I've heard a lot of. So he's created all these things that allows like for CSS stuff. Like you see how like all these things are doing stuff. So he's created all the code and a lot of different things too, like different variations of different things. And you can literally copy paste the things he created and just use it in the way we want to use it. And I actually need to start thinking of how to implement some of these because these are dope buttons. Like it brings it to life. Yeah, it brings your application way better to life.
Dude, even the float shadow would even work too. It doesn't have. I mean, the one thing I do want is like the flip, so that way you could have a description on the back, ideally. But I mean, even any of these would be.
Yeah, I was trying to see if he had the flip thing. I thought he might actually, but it doesn't look like it.
CSS, or not CSS. I think what you would call Bootstrap has it.
Bootstrap, okay. Yeah.
I think so. Because I remember you said, and I like for one of the classes I worked on, we played with Bootstrap a little. I remember seeing it, but I'm not sure. I forget what it's called, which one it is. But I think it is a Bootstrap, and since the code base is connected to Bootstrap.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Honestly, I would say for this to get this section to look exactly the way you already designed, I would say that's a good like that would be a great first like milestone to like get done. We could do two things. We could do two different sets of cards. So we have one card's collection like this, and then we can copy paste this and put another one in the bottom, and separate them because we have two different headings like based on category kind of. So that it'll make it easy to implement this piece first at the top, and then this piece. So I think with the top piece at least we can do this. Maybe let me see if this fixes it. So if we do 3, maybe. Okay, so then we have 3. So that makes it a lot. 3 cards in the top. At least from a design perspective, that's what we're going for. We just add maybe a heading. How do we do that? Maybe we can just do this actually. Let's see. Let me try this. Do I break anything? I do, of course. What about here? No? No? Okay, yeah. And we did our hardest courses. So for now, we can like have a placeholder. Okay. So then.
Are you gonna change maybe the? Oh, I see. Never mind.
Kind of broke it. Maybe I'll put
I
it.
was thinking of.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's super simple, but just changing the font to an extent. So just like from H5 to like I forget. Is it H6 is small or H4? Does it go down or up?
I think maybe down or up, and if you go up in number, it goes smaller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. Because I know H1. Yeah, so that way. But then even though, so I'll
Yeah.
play around with that just to figure out what works best. But yeah, that way it's because then it's just like in an order in a sense where we'd have our three biggest ones under our hottest courses. So, and maybe we could talk about that a little bit right now. But I was thinking kind of like the three that I have in the little design that are just like free communities that are like great resources, and then everything else below is like centered on a combination of like blockchain stuff, but also just like general coding stuff, like CSS tricks and stuff.
Okay.
And like W3 schools too, or what? I don't know, actually. Is it Web3 schools or just what W? I forget the name of it.
W3 school.
Yeah, W3. Yeah. Which I don't even think it's Web3 directly. Free code camp, blockchain based. Yeah. And all this is free stuff too, so that way we can emphasize that like no one has to drop $1 to interact.
That ass though. Amazing resources. Okay, so I'm just like trying to create a skeleton-ish. I'm gonna lock this to. Let me just do this. Ignore that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for doing that. But eventually, I mean, you'll like see what it is later. I just removed one so it's like it looks more closer to the outline. So let me do one more thing actually. I'm gonna put a break here, so it looks
Just separate it a
more
little
line.
bit.
Yeah. So I'm trying to like okay. So then we have at least some. We're kind of getting closer, I guess. If we added like images,
Yeah.
it's like close. You know,
The other thing
there's
is
still
just,
things we can
yeah, it's
change.
just sizing, and then I can work with I think Flexbox a little bit too. So that way it's like gridded out, and then we have an idea, or CSS grid, I guess, because I forget which one's the more outdated one.
1, 2, 3,
Grid
4.
and Flexbox.
Flexbox. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could actually you could use either, like you said. Yeah. I think I've used Flexbox a few times. Sounds familiar. But is this helpful at all though? Like,
This is incredibly helpful, especially just linking the terminal and just linking. Yeah, I mean my code base to a local host. That's a great first start, but then I don't know, just getting reacclimated. I definitely didn't say that right, but just with all the code, again, is very helpful. And now it's just more of like one figuring out this image thing, because I do like the image over the little cards that we have with the
yeah.
like just the story, and then that way you can hover over it, and then if like you're interested, like you can just change it. But yeah, man, Localfi just did not help as much as much as I thought it would be.
Yeah, they are. It's like it's great in concept, but like it could get tricky.
It's so hard, dude. It's because it's like you have to master Localfi kind of,
Yeah.
and like even like it's hard to like put in images that you want then too for like the cards essentially.
Damn, that's annoying.
But I might still play around with it a little because I learned how to do a little bit. But yeah, so does Bootstrap? I swore I saw this in Bootstrap before.
I'm thinking you could use this is React Bootstrap actually. So you could use these cards without the description like piece of it. So
Yeah.
like without the card text body. Like this is the longer card, and then just have the image and a title. Like so everything but this section right here. I think, and then we just have a card image variant. So if we did this, let me see how much this breaks things. Okay, shit. Let's try this. So basically, we're just commenting this out, right? Yes. Let's see. I mean, it should break something because we don't have that image. But okay. But we want the image on top of the header, right? Okay, so we did this. Okay. So then we have the image and then title. Image title. Okay. So then close, we just have to like actually put an image. So then here in SRC, what could we do? Could we do one of the images that's already here. Maybe. Let me try banner.png. I'm not sure if this would work. Oh, okay. So basically then, okay, that's good. We could basically, oh shit, bro. Okay. Look, so you could do this actually. So
What?
you could push the images to here. But like in your, it's gonna be called different. It's not gonna be called djobs2 in your side probably. It's gonna be probably called Sandbox something. But when you clone this, and you probably already have that, so you're gonna have that folder that's on your computer, and then inside of this folder, go to public. Public is where all of the images are stored usually.
And then just copy.
Yeah.
Or just save them in there.
Just save the image in here. It's gonna push it to the database too, and then you just refer to it here. Like banner.png is this one right here, the lady banner.png. So then when I call it here, that's why she's popping up in every single one of the cards. But then the only difference is maybe we want to call it IDX or like.
So wait, are you talking about IDX instead of? Are you talking about for the source? Wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to see how we do that. Like a dynamic image source.
But I thought for the source reference, it has to be the image that's saved in the local host. So like banners, like what the image is called, or like I can call one like learn web3 or etc.
Yeah.
Space, whatever.
Exactly. You could do that. The only thing that would be kind of interesting to figure out here is because we're doing this in an array, right? We're only calling the code one time. So if we say banner right here, for example, .png, all of the images are gonna have banner, right? Which is not what we want, right? We want it to be different images. So we need a way to pass in like dynamic info like we did here to here. And my first intuition was IDX .png. Maybe we store the images as numbers. So then I don't even know. I honestly don't know. This is something interesting to figure out, but I don't think it would be crazy to figure out, honestly, either. But we just need to dynamically set it in there with IDX.
Well, what happens if you change card.image and you make a second one and call it card.image2?
We could do that, but then I think you have to.
I know it's tedious, for every single one.
No, but the thing is, you would have to specify when you want this one to be called versus this one to be called. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, you change the name though. So what happens if you name it image 2? Does that still pop up or no?
Like card image 2, like here?
Exactly, yeah.
So no, it's not. It's actually not going to work because the component itself is. So it's not the name of the component. It's just like. Well, actually, I guess it's the name of the component, but you can't change it because it's not something we can edit. We can change like the variables inside of it, but the actual name of the component we can't change. The thing here is, we could do it with one line of code, with this line of code here. The only thing that would be interesting to figure out is how do we dynamically set this value to be different? The same way we dynamically set these values to be different every single time that we iterate through the for loop. This data is different. Data.data idx.link means something different when idx is 0 versus when idx is 1 versus idx is 2. So my thought right now, don't quote me on this, but you can kind of explore this. You could do a like a JavaScript version, which is like source me IDX, which is like we know what the value of this is, and give me that IDX.png maybe. So then it's like, okay, it'll fill this every time it loops through. It'll be like, oh, what is IDX? IDX is 0. Okay. In this image, give me 0.png. Okay. In the next image, give me 1.png. Does that kind of make sense? So then it's like iterating through different images, and then it's going to be the right image. I don't know if that's gonna work though. Honestly, I have no fucking clue. But it's something that could work.
Hey, man, fuck it, we ball. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but this line right here, we just got to figure this. If once we figure this line out, this will be pretty much ready.
Especially, and then also I have to link it every single one. But that's just another source reference.
That could be. Let me see. Dynamically set. Card image source. Let's say React. Okay, I think maybe I think it was right. I just had it. I think it's like this, maybe, or no? The fuck, bro. Shit. It's something like this. Okay, what did this guy have? Let me see. What's the solution? Source. Okay, so something like this. So let's copy this. What the hell? I'm cooking. I'm a little impatient. Sorry, right now. Okay. Okay. So we don't need this. Any of that. Image.code. Okay. .png. Okay. So I think we just call this IDX. And then we name 4 different images. 4 different things. Let's actually try to see if we can just BS it real quick. 0. I don't want to break anything either. Let's see. I'll call this one 1. Call this one 2. Fuck it, I'll call this one 3. Okay. What happens when this is the case? Let's see. Okay, it doesn't work. Oh, it does work. What the hell? All right, there we fucking go. Shit. Okay, so we can do that. So this is how we dynamically set images. Now we know. Okay, so IDX refers to the number, so of the image. So then it's like, okay, what is 0.png? Okay, 0.png, 1.png, 2, 3. So then we can use the same number, the same IDX, which is the index, to determine what the image should be. And it's going to dynamically change. So the first time I go through this array, IDX is 0. The second time we go through this array, IDX is 1. And then it becomes 2 and it becomes 3 until it reaches length. So boom, that's how we can add images. Shit, honestly, I did not know how to do that until right now. So I'm not even going to act like I knew how to do some shit. I just shout out to this guy. All right, so that's how we do that.
Okay, all right. So that's good. That's good to know. So, so office hours? Are we doing Wednesday, big picture, and then Friday another coding session, or what?
Yes. I want to keep that. I want to start getting that like more organized, more streamlined, more consistent. Because then it's like the more consistent it is, then the more reliable we are as an org. So like people actually like feel like, you know, if it's like inconsistent and people are like, is this even a real thing? Are you guys even real? Like, are you guys actually even doing anything? Or if it's like consistent, it's like, you know, going, then it's like, it compounds every other day. People come in, people get some value. You know, let's see how it can evolve. I just.
So then I guess. So then my goal then by Friday is to then, ideally, get the masterclass looking like the design, so we now know how to put the images in, and like even right now, I mean, can you scroll down a little bit? Yeah, so yeah, basically this is like essentially kind of like the forum, line it up or whatever, but have basically the skeleton, at least, I mean, for the most part, like the skeleton, everything done. And then ideally, if I don't have it done, that means I have questions about what's going on, what I have to change, if the card sizes are different, how to get the animations that we want, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday, big picture. Do we want to be talking about kind of like growth? So like the newsletter, I think that'd be kind of good, especially if anyone hopped in.
Yeah.
Talk about kind of like marketing strategies we talked about on what was that Friday?
Yeah, I think the newsletter would be huge. And also like I like wrote some things in here. Let me get out of here. It's not. Okay. All right, here. I wrote a lot of new kind of so this is newsletter. I think we can kind of like start a new page here of like newsletter 1 or October whatever. October 30 or 20 something. This is a 24, whatever. We can kind of like set dates and like have newsletters in here, and then use that to kind of put it out.
So
Yeah.
the one thing we can talk about this too more on Wednesday or whatever, but the thing I did like when I was writing a newsletter with me and Harrison working on it was, are you familiar with Substack?
Substack? No, not too familiar.
Like it's designed essentially for like it's free, creating just basically like whatever content you want, and then it's just really easy. So I can I guess maybe on Wednesday I can walk you through that a little bit.
Please
just like
do.
Substack and stuff.
Like
I said, I'm down to write everything, but just because I'm 7 hours ahead, I'm nervous about posting the stuff, so that because just the time change just fucks me up so much. So
No, yeah, I'm happy to post. I don't mind at all posting. Also, I don't know, maybe we start news. I'm trying to think of how we start newsletter. Because like right now we don't really have an email list, which is not a big deal. But like where could a newsletter be impactful? Where could it be useful? I mean, the Discord is an easy place to kind of start maybe, and also like maybe looking at like trying to put it external, so like Twitter and.
That's what I was about to say. So I think Discord, Twitter, and then maybe even just like dropping it in some of the Discord like communities that we're in. So that
Yes.
We just get a bunch of emails.
Yes, 100%. I agree.
Because it's just free content. That's all we're pushing. It's just free content. So, and I think also maybe polling to see kind of like what content people would like to see in the newsletter as well. Like whether it's just updates about Web3, or maybe should they want to learn more about Sandbox, they want to learn more about kind of like, I don't know, the becoming a dev, like whole process, whatever it is. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can write about. So
100%.
That's what we should figure out and then tweak it as we go. But I guess for the most part, getting the emails is the most important thing if we want to get this rolling, like next week ideally, or this even.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I mean, I think, people are gonna help us make this kind of come to life, like in the way that they want. Like the polling is like a huge like opportunity for people to like, what do people actually want to hear about, right? It's like okay, if we put out content related to that, then there's a chance maybe they do end up paying attention to it because they said they were interested in stuff like that, versus like them not giving any like us just like doing it blindly basically and like hoping for the best.
I agree with that. All right. Well, I mean, I gotta teach kids in like 9 hours, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, because I was gonna say like shit, because it's Sunday night tomorrow. Yeah. But thank you for pulling up anyway. I mean, I hope this was helpful.
Dude, this is so helpful, and so like, and now I feel much more confident than I did. I feel much more confident than I did in the past like 3 weeks since I've actually gotten here. I feel like we have a nice sense of direction going forward now too, at least for in terms of like coding, and then also just like growth as well. But like we'll talk more on Wednesday.
I'm excited. This is the next just to kind of wrap this up. So I mean, this is our campaign for this year, I guess. Like the smart contracts, like the biggest. Like, oh, how can we like set up smart contracts and all these like other components that we're trying to put together, because the contracts are eventually going to live in each of these components. So we've got Tipbox, which is great, and now it's becoming escrow. So between now, October 23rd, and December, the goal is to push out escrow. I found got lucky. Look at this guy. I mean, it's only Solana blockchain, but like it's a start, you know.
No, that's perfect. I mean, that's a great start.
We tinker and we iterate, and you know, hopefully by December we have that done. And then I'm thinking of something else. We'll talk about this later on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Something called Citizen Passport. We'll talk about that.
Oh yeah. You
and how we can integrate that. But yeah, all right. So thank you for pulling up. This is great. I think we're headed the right direction. I'm excited.
Awesome, perfect. All right. Yeah, that's good for me. Yeah, I'll talk to you Wednesday, brother.
All right, I'll talk to you Wednesday. Let's make it happen. Enjoy your sleeping and next week.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And you enjoy your week, and everybody take care, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk soon.
Peace, brother.